Okay, well, let's go back to your life, because I can see that you have this. I really love the revelation that comes out in the book, and we're going to talk about that later. But I want to talk about more about who you are. And so thinking about when you, what happened in your life to even put you on the path to even thinking about writing this book?
Right. It was a couple of things. It started out as an essay.
Okay.
And I would see the way women were blamed in church, the way that this message would go across, well, the last time a man listened to a woman, and that's why a woman has to be in subjection. And then even deeper than that, I started having night terrors because it was like I was reading in Judges chapter 19
about when the men came to the house and they were trying to have sex with the man, and he just put his concubine out and they just raped her all night. And I was just having these terrible night terrors like 2 or 3 times a night. And it's like, I know that there are women out there who've had similar experiences with sexual abuse, and then they're just walking around like they're dressed well, they're functioning in life, but this terrible experience is coloring them.
And then they go to church to try to find refuge, and then what's the message there? Well, it's the woman's fault. It's your fault. And so after kind of experiencing that so closely, where it's almost like I could even feel the experiences from having all these night terrors like every night, I started to write about it and really just started to see that something is drastically wrong here, because women make up the majority of congregations, yet when it comes to power and position, women are not in those places.
Okay, so you started writing about what you were experiencing as these revelations started coming to you, and as a way to cope or to get that out.
Yes, I would say so, because it helped me in a lot of ways, because I would be in a lot of contradictory places, because I know that I was far more educated than a lot of men that were around me, and yet I would start to feel like, well, why can't I put myself forward? And if I do, well, does that mean that you're being Jezebel? Does that mean that you don't respect authority? And then these revelations that I received actually saying, no, that's not the case at all.
Okay, so what gave you the courage to actually put your writing out for other people to see? Because it's one thing, because what you sound like you were describing earlier, as these things would come to you, and you would have these night terrors, you would write your story. That's kind of like journaling. But how did journaling become a book?
Well, I had like a really bad experience where I realized that I wasn't speaking up for myself ever. And then I started to notice that I could have the worst experiences in life and be completely submitted.
Okay.
And get these terrible results where it's like, well, if I was going to have a terrible experience, I might as well have just spoke up for myself.
And so I just got
I like that logic.
I got really blunt for a long time, and still am, where it's like, if something happens, I'll just say it. And realize that if I could have a bad experience being silent, I could have just as bad as one speaking up. And so I think I've always had this viewpoint on life that if you're in a bad situation, just make it worse. Because if you make it as bad as it possible,
and you survive that,
you really can't go but so far down before it starts going back up. So I've always had somewhat of that mentality, and then I just received the boldness to just go ahead and do it. And then for the most part, it's turned out that it's been better.